Jagersfontein community members are demanding that a mine in the area be shut down. Last month, a dam wall at the mine collapsed, engulfing the area in toxic sludge. 2 people died and hundreds were left destitute. Today, disgruntled residents handed over a memorandum to the mine owners. They say regulations were not complied with. They're also accusing government of failing to ensure accountability. Let's get comment on the matter from Xolani Tseletsele, Executive Mayor for the Kopanong Municipality. Thank you very much, Mayor, for joining us this evening. So we've heard about that memorandum that community members handed over to mine owners today. Can you give us a brief outline of what the demands were in that memorandum?
Good evening to you, Annalyn, and the viewers at home. Just to give a short synopsis of the memorandum is that one, the memorandum is actually calling, amongst all the other issues that they are raising, they are calling for the development of their own town, which is Jagersfontein, and then 2, they are calling for the protection of workers that are working in that particular mine in relation to their benefits, like your medical aids, your pension funds, of which do not exist as things stand. The memorandum is also calling for the renegotiation between us as a community and also to the mine to come into the ground and work with the community, so that as well as they are to operate, they should take into cognizance on many other issues that are beyond the disaster. There are developmental ideas that we've been raising for many years, but also the memorandum is not anti the operation of the mine. What it just states is that the mine ought to invest the diamonds back into the community. That is what the memorandum says in short. We were there also on behalf of the municipality. We shared the same sentiments, because this particular area called Jagersfontein is also an area where me, myself, as the mayor of the municipality, as well as the ward councillor, I'm a resident in, and therefore all of the other developmental ideas that the community has been raising, I'm part of such ideas that this community ought to be developed at least into a proper developmental town.
So you're not asking for the mine to be shut down?
The shutdown of the mine would mean that whatever ideas that we want to achieve as a community would not be a proper solution to it. What we are saying is that if the mine is to reoperate again, it ought to take in cognizance that as a stakeholder, we are saying that if we are to operate after this disaster, we are saying that you should invest in the road infrastructure. We are saying you should invest in economic activities or the economic life of the community. We are saying that the human beings that live in this community should be able to live like human beings when there are investment made into the community. For now, we're saying that the operation of the mine should not operate up until there are such discussions, up until that the disaster that has happened a month ago, we rebuild the lives of our people, we clean the community, then the processes of its reoperation, all of the stakeholders that are involved, including water and sanitation, DMRE, they ought to come down to the community and engage the community, and then we agree on a developmental plan. There are many ideas that are raised in what we refer to as the STR, the small town regeneration strategy, which means that if you are to invest in a particular town, there are areas in the community that means that you'll be able to create employment, you'll be able to address issues of poverty, you'll be able to address all the social ills that the community is facing. For now, we're saying the mine should not operate up until we are rebuilding the lives of the community back. The major task today is not the operation of the mine. The major task is that we have got 399 families that are displaced, who have got no homes. We have got 3 lives already that were lost, and 2 of them were found. 1 is not yet found. Those are the immediate issues that we need to focus on. The focus should not be we're going to operate and therefore we do not care about the lost families that are still been missing, and we are looking for them. We are saying that if they are to reoperate. Let's restore at least one basic thing, which is bringing back life to the community.
And rural regeneration is one of the big items on our developmental goals in South Africa, so we can completely understand that. Have you had any engagement with the mine owners to date, where they've come to the community at any point after this disaster to talk about what's happened, to try and help and assist the families who've been directly either affected, from losing a loved one or from being displaced? Have they engaged you even today on the demands within this memorandum?
What we have picked up is that we've been having engagements via interviews, via social media and so on. And we said that it's now a full month and we have not yet come to the full tables of engagement, inclusive of the affected families, inclusive of the community. Today, when we're engaging on the memorandum, we picked up that what we need to do, there ought to be coexistence as to what should happen. And therefore, we've concluded that tomorrow we are going to have a session with the affected families here in Jagersfontein, because amongst the family members, when the damage was caused by the breakdown of the dam, our first approach was to engage the legal side of it, to say we ought to protect ourselves through the assistance of lawyers. We have achieved that particular process. And therefore, we're saying if we are to interact directly with the mine, families must be protected and should not fall into the trap of them being later robbed or them being later cheated. And we are willing to meet with the mining bosses. Tomorrow at 11 o'clock, they will be meeting with us and the affected family. And immediately after that particular meeting, we will be having another session with the broader community. Although the memorandum was saying it ought to be answered at least 7 days, but when you study the memorandum, the issues that are raised there range back as far as 2009. And we believe that to wait so long for issues that continues to be raised is just too long. What we need to do, let's start a process of engagement as early as tomorrow, and that process will be starting in the community. The mine has said to us that they are willing to build houses at any given time. We as a municipality and government, we fully agree with that if they are to rebuild houses, we agree on that. If they are going to do that, at least there must be sessions and agreements between them and the families. And ours as government will be to guide the process so that we rebuild and ensure that there is mutual understanding and no one will be robbed of whatever belongings that they belong to. Because the
sorry for interrupting you, but we're running out of time, and I want to talk about another specific issue as well that the community feels needs to be addressed urgently, and that's the issue of safety and compliance to regulations. I believe that the community has asked for the safety report stating that all regulations have been complied with over time at this mine. Is that the case? And what is the route going forward to make sure that should this mine become operational again, that the safety regulations are adhered to?
Okay, in my first sentiments, when I was stating the issue of renegotiation of the operation of the mine, it was exactly located in the issues of the environment, in the issues of safety, in the issues of if the facilities to operate, what areas are going to be covered. For an example, Annelie, if you check the reoperation or the operation of that mine and where the dam was built, that dam was nearer to the households of our people, and we believe it was the cheapest way of creating a dam. And there are other options of how they could create other dams. So all of those reports, we are still waiting for a report from the mine themselves, as well as a report from environmental affairs, including water and sanitation. What we want to emphasize on is that the operation of this mine has always been a prerogative or right of the water and sanitation, has been their right to also ensure that there are compliance matters in that particular area. So we want water and sanitation to be part of this process up until we are finished with the entire process. And we give assurance to the community to say if the mine is to reoperate, this process is going to be compliant, and we must be taken into confidence practically. If it is to reoperate, it won't create another damage it has created as to what is happening today in our community.
Well, thank you very much for taking the time to speak to us. That was Xolani Tseletsele, Executive Mayor for the Kopanong Municipality, speaking on behalf of the Jagersfontein community affected by that tailings dam wall burst just a month ago.